And I made sure I said this loud so that everybody heard it. I said, listen, competing is not an option here. You compete and we win. That's it, right? And I made sure that I was very clear on that. And I said, whether you know it or not, every day you wake up, you're competing. And life is a huge competition, right? So wake up. Yes, you have to compete. Welcome to the team. If you don't want to compete, then I don't know, go work somewhere else, because this is how we do it. We freaking compete and we win. Right? So that's another part. Yeah, maybe I sounded like an asshole, but did I make my point? Yes, because I want people to know that we're not getting here every day and we're not just, lollygagging around. We're competing. We're trying to kill some people. We're trying to take them out. You know what I mean?
Oof. You making me want to
caffeine
run.
kicked in.
that caffeine fuel right there. You're making me want to run through a wall. Welcome to the Top Contractor Podcast, the show that highlights the remarkable individuals who are shaping the construction industry and pushing its boundaries with engaging interviews, expert discussions, and real-world stories of success and challenges. I'm your host, Bill Ryman, your broker builder, and I am here with my co-host,
Nate Diggity Dog. We'll
Oh,
work on it.
It never gets old. Nate Diggity Dog. Welcome, welcome everybody to the Top Contractor Podcast. We have another great show for you all today. But before we get started, Nate, you know the routine. Tell them what we do on the show.
Yes, so we have 3 different types of shows here. We're going to be doing type 1 is an interview where me and Bill bring on an expert in a specific topic. We interview them, get to know the person, share their knowledge with you. Number 2 is him and I do a deep dive together on a specific topic that you guys, the audience, has asked us to do. And number 3 is what we did last podcast episode, which is cruising the construction news and discussing that. So today we will be doing a deep dive into company culture, how to build it, how to preserve it, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, building culture, huge topic today. We actually had a little bit of a vote within the Top Contractor School community, and this was number 1 on the list. So Nate and I are going to talk about a little bit about ourselves, our culture, what we're doing, and kind of give our recommendations on the way too. So getting into it, you ready to dive right into it, Nate? What do you think? Let's
Let's
just go
get
for
it,
it, huh?
baby. Let's
All
get it.
right.
Oh,
All right.
wait a sec. But before we get into it, because I
Good
missed
catch.
this in the beginning. All right. We take a lot of time out of our busy schedules to do this podcast. So I would appreciate some good feedback, constructive feedback, comment, like, subscribe, hit us up in the DMs. Come on. So just, show us some love, and hopefully this is bringing you value. If you have comments on how this can bring you more value, then let us know. We're trying to get this thing top ranking, and I'm sure in no time it will be. So let's get it going, Bill.
A lot of good feedback we've been having on the first 2 episodes. Last week's episode I think was awesome. Kind of cruising the news there a little bit, construction connection. So looking forward to doing more of those. We should be having an interview with somebody coming up here as well in the near future. That's part of this whole thing. We want to, as Nate said in the first episode, we don't want bozos, we want pros. So we're going to be interviewing good people, people at top of the contracting world, and looking forward to it. But let's get into some building culture. There's a lot of different things Nate and I talked about on this one. Like I said, we're going to kind of get into how we're doing it within our companies too. And one of my first things on this topic, Nate, and I think it's one of the most important things as far as building culture, is you got to have good leadership. I think everything starts with leadership. And one of the actual TCS retreats, we had the leadership man himself, John Maxwell, there speaking to us. And as everything is literally built on leadership. And if you're not a good leader within your company, or you don't basically walk the walk, why should people follow? Why should people If you're slacking, people are probably going to slack because you, as a business owner, it's important to show people in many ways, all ways of life, success and what it looks like too. So, Nate, what's your opinion on leadership? Let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's like the baseline of your culture, right? How you
Mm-hmm.
lead, how you show up every day. That sets the precedence, that sets the example of what your culture is going to be. Because, when you first start a business, right, it might be you, it might be a couple people, but you are initiating yourself. You're initiating that culture. You're setting the example of what you tolerate. Okay. And I always love this phrase, you get what you tolerate. So if you
Mm.
tolerate crap, you're going to consistently get crap. All right. So and that also rolls into like extreme ownership with leadership. When there's a problem, and this is also huge in culture, when there's a problem, you need to look to yourself because maybe you've tolerated some crap. Now that's gotten out of hand, and that's your fault for tolerating it. So
Yeah.
let's
Well,
keep rolling in leadership
Well,
here.
well, one of the things with that too, I mean, showing up on time, being consistent, and everything you do within your business too, people are going to see it. So what they see, your employees are watching you. It's just like your. I don't want to say they're like kids, but just like your kids as a parent, they watch you as a parent. Your employees watch you as as a boss or a leader too. And if you're not doing the right thing constantly, why should they? And it's like picking up trash. Here's an example. Like, we're very well known for our clean job sites. Every single time I'm out on the job site, if I'm with an employee or a subcontractor, I'm talking, even clients, when I'm out there with them, I'm talking to them, I'm picking up trash, dirty bottles, whatever, as I'm talking to them, acting like it's just a thing that I do. It's a habit thing that I do. I see an empty bottle on the ground, I pick it up. I see uh, bag of food that somebody left, I pick it up. So that resonates down the line as far as your culture and building that culture of cleanliness and just the expectation that you have as a leader and as a business owner.
Yeah, definitely. There can't be any question, right? Like that you're not putting in the work. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not to say that there's so much nuance with culture and everything else too. So a lot of things in business, right? We can teach as much as we can, but sometimes you have to experience to learn those little nuances. You know, um, one of our notes here was like showing up on time or first.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rarely the first to the office. I'm only the first to the office on Mondays. Every other day, I come in like an hour after everybody else, but they know that I'm working till 8 or 9 o'clock at night because they're still getting emails from me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So there's like some nuance there because you don't want to just beat yourself up all the time, but there's, you know, there's nuance. So
I get it. Yeah, and exactly. And then another thing we were talking about too is attitude too. I mean, if you got a poor attitude, a piss poor attitude, I mean, your employees are going to have it too. It's going to resonate down the line to them. So it's being positive, having a positive outlook too within your company, and the expectation of what's going to happen, and kind of just, which we'll talk more about on one of the other topics, is telling your employees the vision and selling them the vision, and show and making them a part of that vision too. But leadership's huge. Obviously, I think, in my opinion, that's the most important key to building a successful culture, because without a leader, without a captain of the ship, I mean, there's no business, there's nothing. So you need to establish a good leadership presence. Now, the next one we had was making your employees kind of a part of the business. Making them feel, I just brushed on this a little bit, making them feel like, or letting them know they are the business. That's what I always tell my employees. We have a Monday meeting every single time. Without them, we're not a business. We don't exist. They are what molds the business, what runs the business. They are a huge piece of it, and that needs to be known too. And they need to know also that they can have a role within the business, an ownership role, that they can make decisions for themselves too, that you're not going to micromanage every move that they make.
yeah, for sure. On that one too, right? Giving the employees ownership. So I like to think I'm very good at that, to the point where, so we're a structural steel contractor. So we have two sides of the business. We have the fabrication side and we have the installation side, the steel erection side. Okay. So I have a shop foreman. And when I go out there, because I'm in the office most of the time bidding jobs, so when I go stretch my legs, I'll walk around the shop and bug everybody and see how their day's going or whatever. And Miguel will ask me something. Hey, what's this? Da da da. I said, dude, this is your gig. You're the boss out here.
Ooh,
Like,
I
if
like
you need
that.
help, I'll give it to you, but you tell me what you need. And what I do that I know he appreciates, because most employers don't do this, is anytime he asks for something, hey, Nate, can you get this? It would make our job easier. Yeah, give me 1 minute. Boom, I'm already on the phone ordering it,
Mm,
because I want him to know that when he says a good idea, right? When he's taking ownership of something and saying, hey, here's how we can improve it, that I make sure that the employees see that we put that into action. And that way they
mm,
keep coming up with good ideas. They keep taking initiative, right? And I give him so much ownership where I'm not nitpicking how certain things, excuse me, certain things are done. I'm just, hey, this is your gig. You run it like this. Here's how I want the standards. Here's the standards that are very clear that you need to hit. And if you don't hit these, we're gonna have a tough conversation. But at the end of the day, this is your shop. You run it. You tell me what you need, and I'll get it for you. Right. So, and that makes your life as a business owner a lot easier. If you're a business owner and you're trying to micromanage, right? You're trying to be like in control of every little thing. It's going to drive you nuts. You're going to get exhausted. You're not going to ever have a big business. And four, your employees are going to hate it. And you're going to hate it because guess what? They're going to be coming to you all the time. Hey, what do we do with this? What do we do with this? And it's just like, what's the point? Just do it yourself. Be a one man show. If that's who you are, be a one man show and just leave it at that.
One thing you said at the beginning there too, it was you walk around every day, and after you're bidding blueprints, stuff like that, you go out and you check on your guys, and you have conversations with them too. That's a part of culture right there. You're building friendships, you're building relationships with your employees. They don't just feel like they're just a piece in what you do. They feel a part of it, and you're asking them how's their family, you're asking them how they're doing. But then another thing you said there too is you're getting their opinions on everything as well. Like, what do you guys need? What do you need to make your job easier? And what can I do to make this better for you? And that's one thing I've implemented too over the years is in our meetings being like, what do you need? Tell me what you need. Oh, you need somebody to, we need another employee to help with this. Okay, let's hire another guy. Then you can start training to do this. So everybody keeps leveling up too. So
Yep.
that was huge what you said.
Yeah. And part of this too, I want to clarify something so that everybody watching this understands neither me nor Bill are perfect, right?
No.
I could do that a lot better. Um, Having really good relationships with my employees is something that I actually struggle with because when I'm at work, I'm a freaking killer. I'm going to kill you. I'm going to win. I'm going to take some people the freak out. So sometimes I'm a little too intense and I'm more worried about getting the shit done than
Mm.
stopping and building the relationship. And that's the thing that I really struggle with. So I want to make that clear that we're not on here saying we're perfect by any means at all. We have so many things, and a lot of that stuff that I'm saying, I'm speaking to myself like, hey, remember this, Nate. This is what you got to get better at. So, disclaimer.
No, I'm right. I'm right there with you, man. There's times where I'm just like you. I get in there and I go to work and I forget about kind of everything out and outside too. Where you have to take that moment and stop and be like, let me go check on some people here and see how they're doing. Let me delegate something to somebody that maybe I need to take off of my load too that I shouldn't be doing. I had this conversation with Brian Hess yesterday, actually in a call, and we were talking about just the delegation part of my business and what I should be doing as a leader versus the stuff I shouldn't be doing, and how I can delegate to somebody that is needing more work, but that's also almost a promotion to them too, because you give somebody else more to do. That's telling them, hey, I trust you. I'm I'm ready to get you to keep leveling up and learn a new skill and learn a new process within this business that's going to make you better too and help you level up as an employee as well. So yeah, but by
Yeah.
far, going off of what you said, man, we all have a lot to learn. Nate and I are learning, just like everybody listening to this. We're always learning. That's why we're here. But we're also here to teach you what we've learned and what we should be doing as well. So for sure, Nate, what you got
And
for the next topic?
so I got one more thing to hit on that,
Yeah.
and a little another thing that's very general that I think once you're in business a certain amount of years and you really focus on the culture and what's going on, you need to have a good feel of my culture's slipping or it's good,
Hmm.
or right. This isn't all sunshine and rainbows. Like, I'll be honest, right now my office culture's killing it, but my shop and field culture is like, it's kind of dicey. I don't know. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. There's a lot of little drama going on. So you have to have a good pulse on that. Don't ignore it. Handle it, right? If you notice your culture slipping, get people together. Do something together, right? Start pushing that culture and fixing it. So that was one thing. Also, with employees are the business, right? One thing that I used to do, and I really need to just put time more into my calendar, is I would take one employee out a week to lunch.
Hmm.
So it's like 45 minutes to an hour out of my week. And I would take them out to lunch and just check on them. I really wouldn't try to talk too much business, just check on them, get to know them more. And in turn, like at the end of it, you end it with like, hey, what can I improve on personally? What can the company improve on personally? Man, you learn so much valuable stuff where like that 1 hour a week is just worth it. It's just so worth it because it takes away so much of the drama and BS that you have to deal with on the other end, because you can handle problems a lot faster and you build more trust and people just feel more heard. So I would really recommend that. I got to put that on my calendar today and start doing that again next week. So
Hmm. That goes into what you just said too. I mean, having lunch with them too. That goes into kind of building the next thing we were going to talk about is building the team environment too. And building or organizing, regular team building events, or having separate things with employees too. That's one thing we've incorporated. I mean, we're not doing like games and stuff like that together, and it's clapping and or doing fall down game, blind fall, catch me game, stuff like that. But we're going to lunch every Friday at the end of the month. We all do a team lunch together. Just get together, kind of turn it off, talk, joke around with each other and so on. And we want to do like a quarterly also team thing where we go to like a top golf or something like that, or fishing or something that's coming up too. I haven't been able to do much due to the old shoulder injury, but once this bad boy's healed, we'll be doing something. So, but it goes into the team building environment, building that culture, and having your employees, not just as employees, but building bonds and friendships and stuff like that with them.
yeah, so on that, right? Like I was mentioning, I noticed that my field and staff is kind of, the culture's kind of slipping due to some issues we're having. We're in the middle of a bargaining agreement with the union, and there's some people are for it, some against it. Anyway, so it's a
Mm.
whole rocky mess. So I'm like, dude, we need to get everybody together for like a couple hours, and we need to just bring everybody together, right? Because guys are kind of arguing. There's a little divisiveness. So we need to bring everyone together. So a couple weeks ago, we did a barbecue, and then after the barbecue, we went into the shop and I had them compete, right? And we gave out over $600 or $800 in cash, and I had them compete in like a welding competition and a
Nice.
torch cutting competition. And that's also part of the culture, right? Showing them that, hey, we compete here, we win here. And then I had one employee who said, well, do I have to compete? Do I have to participate? And I made sure I said this loud so that everybody heard it. I said, listen, competing is not an option here. You compete and we win. That's it, right? And I made sure that I was very clear on that. And I said, whether you know it or not, every day you wake up, you're competing. And life is a huge competition, right? So
Mm.
wake up. Yes, you have to compete. Welcome to the team. If you don't want to compete, then I don't know, go work somewhere else, because this is how we do it. We freaking compete and we win. Right? So that's another part. Yeah, maybe I sounded like an asshole, but did I make my point? Yes, because I want people to know that we're not getting here every day and we're not just, lollygagging around. We're competing. We're trying to kill some people. We're trying to
Oof.
take them out. You know what I mean?
Oof. You
My
making me want to
caffeine
run.
kicked in.
That caffeine fuel right there. You're making me want to run through a wall. What are you
Right?
sipping on there? I need some of
That's
that.
some pre-workout.
What are you
Right?
sipping on there? I need some of
That's
that.
some pre-workout.
That
I
was a
ran
good.
out of coffee and Jocko fuel, so I had to take some pre-workout.
Yeah, we can clip that into a motivational speech right there. Nate Dogg in the house, right
All
there.
right. So, all right. What's the next one?
Invest in your people. This one is huge. Obviously, companies should invest in their people through continuous learning and growth opportunities, and as well as recognizing them, giving them rewards for things that they're doing. I try and do this weekly with people. I always recognize each and every employee for the good that they're doing within the company too, because you need to let them know. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that don't say anything to them. That's when it goes back to the workers are just the workers. They're not a part of the business. They're not the piece, that the core of the company as well. So invest in your people, do whatever you can to help them grow, come up with ideas, growth ideas for them as well. Where they can continue to learn, give them books. I have a couple employees where because I got a freaking library in here, that I'll read a book and I'll be like, man, this is a good book for them to read. So I'll hand it out to them and tell them they should read it, and they'll get something out of it, and maybe write something about it too. But always reward for success, is that's a huge thing right there. What do you got, Nate?
Yeah, so one thing that we were doing for a while was a book club, like a emerging leaders book club, and I think the Pavement Group does that as well. That's kind of where I got the structure of how to do that from. So that's one. And then, man, recognition is something that I struggle with, and that is
Mm,
huge, because a lot of times that's all people want is a, hey, you did a good job, right?
yeah.
So I need to get a lot better at that. But also with rewards, you know, set it up too. If it's one of your key people, like one of our project managers, he's been working like 12 hours a day. He leaves the office when I leave the office. So what I did, right? He was managing his first large ground up residential structural steel job. And I said, look, if this job goes good, I will pay for you and your entire family to go to Disneyland for a couple days.
Mm,
And it cost us like close to $3,000 to do that. But whatever, like the cost is besides the point. So anyway, he kicked ass at the job, did whatever he had to do, and guess what? He's going to Disneyland on Monday and Tuesday with him and his 4 kids.
awesome.
So giving them that reward and then tying it to his family. With that, I wrote his daughters. I wrote his 3 daughters a thank you card. Hey, thanks for sharing your dad with us. Enjoy this trip to Disneyland. We couldn't do what we do without your dad. Um, you know, he loves you very much. Man, I'm like getting emotional right now. I'm about to tear up because, dude, that stuff, it just hits him to the heart.
No,
So
that's spot on, man. That's awesome too. And it's like even simple things. There's times where I'll be like, okay, here's fill your tank up. We don't have employees driving all of our employees driving employee vehicles. Some of them have to drive their own vehicles, and just filling up their tank here and there. Gas ain't cheap, obviously, and just saying, hey, you're doing a good job. Go fill up. I know you're driving down here and driving around doing stuff for us, and just little things like that go a long way. And um, you know, the Disney thing, like you said, rewarding employees for their hard work, maybe buying them a vacation or something like that too. Because in the scheme of things, you're paying $3,000. You're making, the company's making money. They're the reason you're making money. It's worth doing, and that's
Yeah, and
unforgettable memory to them too.
yeah, and here's where the nuance comes in, right? Like, don't be commenting, "Oh, I can't afford to send him to Disney." Okay, this guy helps make the company literally
Yeah.
millions in revenue a year, so it's like,
Hmm.
you know, like Bill said, give him a gas card, give him whatever it is.
Buy them lunch.
Yeah, whatever you can do.
Exactly. There's so much things you can do, invest in your people, and the little things matter. And I, like you said at the beginning, we kind of, a lot of times we don't think about it how we should be, just saying, you know what, you're doing a great job. And simple thing like that goes a long way too. So another thing, we obviously a huge key thing too is values, company values, core values. Those all need to mesh with anybody that you are going to hire. Every company from top to bottom needs to share a common vision, common values. Each and every team member should be on the same page with your core values. If you are hiring somebody, that you need to present them your core values. There are so many companies out there that do not have core values. To be honest with you, if I'm hiring a subcontractor and I go on their website and I see that they have a list of core values, I'm more inclined to hire them too, because I
Oh
know
yeah.
that's a huge thing within my company, and I know they're paying attention to how they should be operating in their own company too. And usually you're going to have a successful relationship with somebody like that as well. But I mean, I listed some of my I listed our company's core values: set and exceed expectations, exceptional communication, integrity, meticulous detail. Uh, we are a team, continue to improve, and our clients are family. So we have 7 of them as a company. Nate, I'm sure your company has them too, but they are crucial in every aspect. Each team member knows these. We review them quite often in team meetings, just so everybody's on top of it. And it's just the expectation we have as a business.
Yeah, one thing with those and the culture is, so we recite those every Monday after our Monday safety meeting. We recite those, and I have them posted in a giant, like it's 15 or 20 feet long by 10 or 12 feet tall, giant banner in our fabrication facility.
Mm,
I put a definition to each one as well, right? So every core value that I have, there's like a 2 sentence, 1 sentence, whatever it takes to define that, because you want to make sure that as the owner and leader, you're defining what it means to have integrity. You're defining what it means to have meticulous detail, because you don't need 10 different people all having a different definition. So that's one
hmm
thing. Make sure you do that. And then also make sure that it doesn't become something that you just read every Monday morning. I'll be totally transparent. It's happened to us. Right now, it's kind of
hmm
at that point where I'm having to get the leadership. Hey, we got to kick these guys kind of in the nuts and get this thing. Hey, these are the core values. We don't just read them every morning. We do them, right?
hmm
And the way you do that consistently is through, when you're disciplining, when you're just having conversations. Hey, man, I appreciate how you accepted responsibility. I appreciate how you took action on this. Right? Use the core value words, and you kind of get up in their subconscious. So it needs to be part of your daily conversation, your daily vocabulary. Okay. And you know it's good when the whole team is holding everybody accountable, when they're holding you accountable, right? Like, I'm pretty big on safety, hard hat, safety glasses in our yard and warehouse. And I was walking by from a company next door, and I didn't have my hard hat on, and an employee called me out and was like, "Hey, dude," and I was like,
Ooh.
"Hey, thank you,"
Ooh.
right? I
Calling
was
out the
walking to go
boss.
grab it, but still, it was like, "Hey, that's good. I'm glad they're confident enough in the standard to even call me out,
Mm.
right?" So that was good.
Were you walking to
Now
grab it though, Nate?
it was like 10 feet away. It was that's all right. I busted their balls. They can bust mine.
Yeah,
It's
nah,
it's it's
that's.
all
I
good.
mean, that's what you want, man. You want people see it, that means it's going there. It's going through their minds, and it's top of mind. It's keeping it top of mind, like you just said, and that's how the core values are. This should have been probably right after leadership. This is pretty key and clutch and building culture as far as that. But another thing, kind of going into what we brushed on a little bit, is bringing this into your hiring as well. It's a huge thing because when you're hiring somebody, it's not so much. And I don't know about you, Nate. Obviously, skill is important on your end. With me, I can hire somebody and I can train them. I'd rather hire somebody with good attitude, and I can train them to have the skills. But I can't train personality. I can't implement,
Yeah, 100%.
somebody's attitude into. I can't train them to have that. So I'd rather, if I see somebody out, I actually had a discussion with somebody within TCS about this. If I see somebody out, you're out and there's a bartender or waiter or somebody that's super social, very good at what they're doing and so on. I always say, hey, if you're ever looking for a job, you can give me a call if you want to do outside of being a waiter or whatever, because you can't train somebody to have that personality. And that's what you want to look for in a good employee is good personality, and then you train them the skill part of it too. So hiring and firing is huge too as far as building culture.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Yeah, hire slow, fire fast,
Hmm.
right? If you notice something's going awry, again, nuance. Hey, welcome to business. There's nuance everywhere. Again, you're not just like chopping people down, like, oh, you made a mistake, boom, you're fired.
Yeah.
But if you notice that there's a constant trend and somebody is not getting better
Hmm.
and it's going to affect your culture like cancer, cut them out. What do they do when you have a little bit of cancer? They get in there quick and they cut it all out so it doesn't grow. That's what you need to do when there's cancer in your culture. Um, One other thing that I wanted to hit on with the core values and investing in people is, and I know Keith from K&L do this, and I would like to start doing this as well. Monthly, and actually First Form does this. A lot of companies do this. Core value awards,
Hmm.
right? They reward the core values monthly, even. They'll pick one or two or three, whatever guys, and they'll give them cash. Like, here you go, boom. I noticed you were stepping up. You were leading by example without flaw. You were disciplined. You were taking initiative, right? You went the extra mile. Here's $1,000 cash. Boom.
Hmm.
And you do that in the Monday meeting. A little nuance of that is you might want to make sure that you're not the one doing all the voting, because then it might look impartial and you might get sued. Okay. So it'd probably like have like
Yep.
an anonymous paper that they put in a box, whatever. But again, that's totally encouraging them to do the core values, right? It's all about getting people to change the people or change the people, right? That's what Brian says. So, yeah,
What you got
that's
for
all
the
I got.
next? I mean, I 1,000,000% agree with that too. I need to implement the core value awards and start doing a little bit more, monthly awards, or even if it's bi-monthly too. But you are right to have the team vote on it as well too, because I think owners kind of just pick and choose somebody, and if you're picking the same guy every month, things kind of it's not really fair too. You got to have the whole team vote on who's doing the best, who's performing the best. So I like that, and implementing that. But next one too, huge topic. I talk about this quite a bit within my company is open and honest communication, but communication in general. Promote transparency within your organization. Celebrate successes and address challenges and failures. This will create trust and accountability. Have your regular team meetings, have your individual meetings, like we kind of brushed on too, but always openly communicating with each and every one of your employees as well, along with your clients. I preach on client communication as one of the top things within our company, but bring that in to your employees too. Over communicate with them, set the expectations with them, and have that open line of communication where they can come in and talk to you. I do weekly meetings now with all my employees. Try and get them, whether it's a short meeting just to kind of cover what's going on, what we can be doing better, how can we help them more as well. So little things like that opens up the communication line so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, for sure. Also, with the communication is like, how do you handle conflict? How do you handle drama? Okay, when an employee comes to you with an issue and they're saying, hey, Bill's doing this or Bill's doing that, are you gossiping with them? Are you trying to
Hmm.
solve their problem for them? Or are you listening, but then also saying, hey, I would advise you to go handle it with Bill. And if you don't know how to, then I'm happy to help mediate that conversation so that you learn how to do that. But you need to, if you have an issue with Bill, you need to bring it up to Bill in a respectful and civil and professional manner, right? So making sure that you're not the catch-all for all the drama is huge. No drama, no ego either, right? Making sure that there's no ego. So that's big on communication,
Yeah, and going off what you
conflict.
well, going off what you just said there too, is gossip's a killer about everything. I mean, sitting there gossiping about other people. If you're gossiping as the owner of the company too, is going to resonate. That goes back to what we talked about earlier. It's going to resonate down the line, and everybody's going to start talking and gossiping with each other too. And it creates a toxic environment, creates a toxic culture, and it's a killer within the company too. And being in a family business, I've really learned too that I have to go directly to my sibling. If I have an issue with my brother, I got to go directly to him. I don't need to go to my sister and tell her, or my wife and tell her and complain about it. I need to go directly to my brother and be like, hey, man, this is what's going on. This is bothering me. We need to tax. So I started doing that, and it's changed everything dramatically because it went down the line too. I noticed my sister wasn't coming to me about my brother and saying stuff. She's actually going approach, and my brother's not coming to me about my sister, and vice versa. So it's just, especially in a family business, the people, we can all kind of talk and go to the family members and complain about one another just like siblings do. But if you go direct at it, that's the best thing, best advice that I can give within that aspect is just, you got a problem, deal with it directly with the person, and more than likely it'll get worked out.
Yeah, and that's also why community is so important. That's why this group, TCS, is so important because as a business owner, as much as we love all our employees, they're not our buddies. You don't need to go gossip to them and, talk shit, whatever. You need
Hmm.
to be able to have another business owner who has a level head and who's dealing with the same things you are at the same level. And maybe you need to just call them and blow off steam. That way you have someone to go to instead of one of your close employees. Because if you don't have someone to go to, that's who you're going to go to, right? So having people like Bill, Daniel Good, Brian Hess, right? All these people in this community, it gives you friends to blow off that steam with, right? Have that conversation with. So,
What do we got next, Nico? We got big topic. Uh, you
yeah, vision. Vision is part of the culture, right? Where are you going? Where's the company going? Where are the people going in that company? Where do you see them going? Making sure that you let them know that. Let them know who they are too. Hey, you're great. I know you made some mistakes last week, but you're great. That's not who you are, right?
Yeah, vision, selling the vision too. And this one thing, being an Arte syndicate, and Nate, you know this too. Ed Milet preaches on this all the time. Constantly selling the vision to your employees of where you're going to go, what you're going to do, the overall outcome of the company. I do it every single team meeting. I always say, hey, this is where we're going. This is how we're going to get there. This is what we need to do, but this is the long-term vision. No doubt you're gonna these houses we're building on the water with these views, these luxury homes, you're gonna have one day. You're gonna have one day. Everybody in here, you all are leaders. You're all part of this company in the early stages. I mean, we've been a company for a long time, but to me it's still the early stages. We're just getting started. I tell them that because in my long-term vision up here, the Ryman name's going to be a full-on enterprise where it's just there's going to be all these sub companies underneath it too. And I tell them that they're part of that vision. And just it's meaningful to them. It pumps them up too because they see that this is going somewhere. It's not just going to be the same thing over and over and over, because they're going to keep leveling up in their visions of their lives, that they're going to be able to prosper too. So it's so important to just constantly tell them, we're going to be the top luxury builder in the state of Florida. We're going to be here. We're going to be in West Palm. We're going to be in Sarasota. We're going to be in all these places. You can lead Sarasota. You can lead West Palm. Just telling them that vision, and you could see it in their, you see it in them, the people that want to be there. You can tell because they're all like, let's roll. Let's do this. As a leader, I trust you. Let's go. So,
Yep, for sure, man. Yeah, and don't get discouraged too when you're
mhm.
starting to sell the vision for the first time. It's just got to be consistent. Keep saying the same thing over and over and over,
Yeah.
and they'll get it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. What we got, obviously focusing on the customer experience too, as far as building a culture. Exceptional customer experience can, become a huge part of your company culture. When employees see that a company generally cares about their customers, their product, and it inspires them. It makes them want to take those extra steps, like the example about picking up trash that I said earlier, making sure our job sites are clean. We actually just had the other day a safety meeting that we had to have with our insurance company, and they went on site and they said this is probably the cleanest job site I've ever seen. That coming from an insurance company that sees a lot of builders' sites, that was a huge compliment to us. But all our employees were there too because they're a part of that. They're a part. They know our culture. They know that we expect to have our jobs clean. Our subs know that expectation too. Um, Another example I had was yesterday. Was walking through a house just checking on it's our next closing we got by the end of this month, and I saw a water valve that was tilted over like this, and then the box around it was crooked too. Well, I asked my employee that was there. I go, what the hell's going on with that? I go, was the plumber drunk or something, or what happened? And he started laughing. He goes, I don't know. Our superintendent said it's going to be hidden, by something, so it didn't really matter. I go, well, what do you think? Does that matter? And he goes, well, yeah, knowing you, yeah, it does matter. I go, exactly. I want that straight. So then our
Yeah, and
super,
that's another thing too, right? Because knowing you, you got to
mm-hmm,
make sure when they say that, oh, knowing you or this, you got to say, no, 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 it's not me, it's the standard.
yeah,
So now, what are your standards? Are you going to settle on your standards?
mm-hmm,
It's not about me, it's about you, and it's about the culture, and it's about the core values.
yep,
So it's about making the whole thing bigger than you too, and that's where it gets difficult to do. Where it's an
mm-hmm,
actual, like, real culture. It's so hard to build where it lasts after Bill's dead. After Bill's dead and gone, does the culture keep going?
mm.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, my superintendent came there and he said the same. He goes, yeah, I'll fix it. He goes, I agree with you. It should have been. I go, even though that thing's hidden by whatever it's going to be hidden by, a cabinet or whatever. what if down the line somebody pulls out the cabinet and then they see that? They're gonna see it at some point, and we want everything perfect. We're perfectionists with everything else in the house, but something that's hidden behind a wall or a cabinet, we're gonna just let it be because and that's not our standard. So just like you said, man, it's making them aware of the standard as much as possible, constantly being on top of it, and over time that's going to continue to build to where, I mean, First Form, you brought them up earlier, they do a great job of setting that standard. Everything is so detailed within that building. Even the wheels on the conference room chairs are all in alignment too. Like, that's a crazy standard set that those all have to be perfect when somebody leaves a meeting room. Everything has to be clean. It's all perfection in there. Weights are all the same way and everything. So it's giving that standard. It kind of sets it down the line, like Nate said, to where people are going to pick up on it and they're just going to do it every single time.
Yep.
For sure. But I think this was good, man. What do you think? We were
Yeah, no, I think
not a lot of joking or singing this time around, but unless you
no,
want
I think we went into some heavy detail, man, some real detail
to, yeah,
here. So
no, it
it's a
was good.
master class on culture for sure.
What do you got? You got anything else?
That's it, man. One thing that Ed says a lot that I always push to my management team is inspect what you expect.
Hmm.
Okay. The reason why Bill has clean jobs, yes, it's the culture, but he's still cultivating that. Why is it? It's because he's out there. He's inspecting. He's inspecting what he's expecting. Why, when I need a break from my office, because I hate sitting at the office all the time, and I go walk around the yard or a job site, I'm not just aimlessly walking around. I'm inspecting every single detail.
Hmm.
And then I'm bringing it up to somebody if it's not to standard. So make sure you inspect what you expect. And we'll leave it at that.
Yep, I'm gonna close it at that. Another amazing episode of the Top Contractor Podcast. You guys know the routine. Please take the time, like, share, comment, subscribe. If you want to comment, please write a comment below. If you want us to talk about anything, comment below in YouTube and on Instagram, wherever you see this thing. Write a comment and rate and review it too. Obviously, we got 3 episodes out now, so take the time to write a review. Those go a long way. It's time to review and get a few of those bad boys going. So we appreciate you all, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Yep, appreciate everybody. Thanks for listening.